What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Side Guys Football Forum. I am one of your co-hosts, I'm the Side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Mr. Tad the Side. And Tad, we have swapped here based off just, how I added us to the stream here. I added you first this time. I am on the right, or however you're looking at it. We're just swapped. It feels a little weird. I don't know.
I know, you're catching my good side, so that's all that matters.
All right, well, I guess maybe we'll go with this from now on.
You know why? Because both sides are my good side.
All right, so we were able
watch this show, man. Jesus.
So we were able to avoid the bye week, Armageddon, as a lot of people were talking about, with 6 teams being on a bye week in week 7.
Holy crap! This was the first week all season, maybe even in 2 seasons, where I was watching Red Zone and I was bored.
Yeah, there were a lot of players that were hurt. We obviously talked about the Cleveland game with no Nick Chubb, no Kareem Hunt, no Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, it was a very interesting week 7 for sure. But yeah, we head into week 8 now. There's only 2 teams on a bye. You got the Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders on a bye week this week. Tad, I don't know about you, but it was a little tougher to pick waiver wire players at this point because
we're getting thin.
As we're getting deeper into the season, a lot of players are obviously players as in league players for your fantasy league, obviously, roster owners, whatever you want to call them, managers, that's probably the better word. They're getting a lot smarter. They're adding to their bench. They're obviously having to take account for all these players that are injured or on the COVID list or bye weeks, obviously. So yeah, when you're going out there diving into the waiver wire pool, it's going to be a lot more shallow. So yeah, it's going to be a lot tougher. So yeah, we don't have as many players to bring up in this week's episode.
Yeah, real quick, it was funny because I was like, we were talking about players we were going to talk about tonight, and I was like, oh, what about Rashad Bateman? And Amber goes, yeah, we already talked about him. I'm like, okay. Christian Kirk? Yeah, we already talked about him. I'm like, damn it!
And it's fine if we talked about a player before, but we brought up Rashad Bateman specifically last week only, so it just would have been weird to bring him up for a second straight week. Although, he's still a really good addition. He got 6 targets for 2 straight
Rashad
weeks.
Bateman's still there. Go for him.
Exactly. He got 6 targets for 2 straight weeks. He's doing a little bit more in that offense.
He's getting advice. Hold on. All right, you talk for a while. I'm gonna add Rashad Bateman.
He is getting targeted in that offense. So yeah, I think his target share will increase, especially with the bye week happening right now. Like I said, Baltimore is on a bye week this week. I wouldn't be surprised if they involve him a little bit more in the offense after the bye week going into week 9 and forward. Could be a really good fantasy season for Rashad Bateman. We'll see about that. So
I just dropped Odell Beckham Jr. for him.
Smart move.
Smart
Yep,
move.
All right, so Tad, let's get into a couple of players that we were able to find that could be good additions to your Week 8 lineup and possibly into the future. Who's the first guy that you got here?
So, look, this is not a streaming option for obvious reasons, but I'm going Kenyan Drake, the backup, quote-unquote, running back with the Las Vegas Raiders, or as Moe loves to call them, the Oakland Raiders. It's done, buddy. It's done.
Hard.
Let it go.
It's hard to let it go. It's hard to let it go.
It's okay. I still call them the St. Louis Rams every night. No, I don't. But look, I know that's kind of a risky pick because Kenyan Drake is no longer the unquestioned starter now that Josh Jacobs is relatively healthy. I know that chest injury has kind of thrown that into flux a little bit, but from all reports, Josh Jacobs with this bye is looking pretty healthy. There was a weird little back and forth where the Raiders interim head coach, I'm not even going to pretend his name, said Josh Jacobs, do you know his name?
Rich Bisaccia, yeah.
Oh, hell no, I'm definitely not telling that. Jesus. But he said, like, yeah, Jacobs is pretty hurt, and then Jacobs put on his Instagram story of like, no, I'm good. So either way, it looks like Josh Jacobs after this bye week will be fine. But even with all that, you look at what Kenyan Drake has done the past 2 weeks, and the past 2 weeks Josh Jacobs has been in as the starter. Back-to-back weeks, Kenyan Drake has posted 15-plus points. So you look at kind of the usage rate between them. I know Kenyan Drake isn't getting the number of carries you really want, but you need to look at the situation he's getting those carries in. And a lot of the times, he's getting those carries or catches because he's also a dual-threat running back in the red zone. So he's a scoring threat, absolutely. And, like Amir said with Rashad Bateman, Kenyan Drake is available in about 40% of leagues in ESPN right now. So he's there, and he likely won't get picked up this week since he's on a bye week. So that's really a 2-week window where you're really looking at a key pickup there. So if you're really hurting for, as a running back / receiver guy to fill in that slot, if, I don't know, you're in a 14-man league and you're really hurting and you started Myles Gaskin and you're just magically tied for first place, by the way, you can shake your head, man. This is a miracle you and I are.
Don't complain. We're both tied for first place in our league.
That's a damn miracle, all right? I started Myles Gaskin. You never start Myles Gaskin. Do you want to know? I was looking at the prop bets for him a couple hours before kickoff. Do you want to know the over-under on total yards he rushed?
It's probably like 20.
33.
33, yeah.
I started that. So if you're like me and you're starting Myles Gaskin and you're like, dear God, I need someone better to start there, Kenyan Drake is better. So is he a great starter? Absolutely not. But if you're looking for a key bench guy there, if you're worried about one of your guys getting hurt, or if you're just looking for a low-end flex player, Kenyan Drake is probably one of your best bets right now.
Honestly, I know Josh Jacobs avoided a serious chest injury. That's what they said, so he's going to be completely fine. Big thing, obviously, advantageous that they got the bye week this week.
I'm knocking on wood. Don't you do that to me, man.
But the biggest thing with Josh Jacobs is very similar to Julio Jones, where it's like almost every week he is a little bit gimpy, a little bit questionable. He does end up playing. Yep, he does leave the game for a little bit, comes back. So it's like adding a guy like Kenyan Drake, especially like we talked about when, we talked about the John Gruden sort of firing, resigning, whatever you want to call it. Greg Olsen's going to be a little bit more diverse with the play calling as far as the run game specifically, as well as using the running backs in the passing game as well. So yeah, having a guy like Kenyan Drake who's getting more involved, I think it's just a worthy addition, even if Josh Jacobs is healthy, because yeah, like we've seen so far in the past, Josh Jacobs just finds a way to get a little bit hurt so that he misses a little bit of time in the game that he's playing in, and that's where Kenyan Drake can sort of reap the benefits there.
I love that comparison. He is the Julio Jones of running backs. 100%.
Exactly. So the first guy that I'm going to bring up, Tad, this is going to be a little bit surprising, but it's strictly a streaming option this week. Do not do this long term. Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars, rostered in only 36.2% of ESPN leagues and 40% of Yahoo leagues.
There's a reason he's only rostered in 30%.
I understand that, but hey, look, they got their first win in London. They beat the Miami Dolphins.
First win in like 25 games, by the way.
Yeah. It's a desolate place in Duval County right now. They're coming off the bye week. Lawrence, surprisingly, as bad as the Jaguars have been, Lawrence has steadily gotten better in that offense. You're seeing his completion percentage raise. In that first 3 weeks, it was 54.24% of a completion rate. In the final 3 weeks before the bye week, it jumped up to 66.33%. So he's seeing the field a little bit better. He's going through the progressions a little better. He's a little bit more mobile in the pocket. They're using him on RPO plays. This guy is steadily getting better, and unfortunately, it's just like the Jaguars are sort of bringing him down a little bit. That's why not a lot of people are talking about Trevor Lawrence.
A little bit.
Okay, a lot of it. But yeah, they're playing.
That's like saying the iceberg kind of sunk the Titanic.
Yeah, kind of.
That iceberg is Urban Meyer.
Oh, God. So they do play the Seattle Seahawks here in Week 8, and Seattle just has a god-awful defense. They're allowing the 10th most yards in the NFL right now, and also they're allowing 7.2 yards per passing attempt right now. So this is a really good chance for Trevor Lawrence to sort of make a mark. He was able to use the bye week to sort of get more under him as far as learning the offense. He obviously played for 6 weeks, so he's able to sort of use what he was able to learn and take that into this week here. So, like I said, with Lamar Jackson being out, obviously, if you need a replacement, I think Trevor Lawrence could be a good option just for this week only. I do not like him long-term. I think he plays Buffalo after Seattle, so do not start him against Buffalo. But for 1 week in Week 8 here, if you need a quarterback option, Trevor Lawrence could actually do pretty good.
I mean, I would look at what Jameis Winston did against them this previous week, which was 16 points flat, depending on, what your format is. So I would expect that kind of production from him. 16 points, not terrible, not bad. So sure, if you really, really need a streaming option at quarterback, you could definitely do worse. And his next couple games after Seattle are Buffalo, Indianapolis, San Francisco, Atlanta, and the Rams. So not terrible, not great. That's probably a 1 week pickup only.
There's one or two soft defenses sprinkled in between a lot of tough ones.
I know Indianapolis's defense isn't great, but that's not a defense I'm confident Lawrence can really dominate, especially fantasy-wise.
No, definitely.
Same with San Francisco, to be honest.
Honestly, Their offense is surprisingly more of an issue than their defense. Their defense has been playing pretty well, but that's a separate issue for another episode here.
We can spend an entire episode with that with Amur.
God, seriously. Tad, let's hit another guy that you got as far as a Week 8 waiver wire guy.
I mean, this is a guy available in 90% of ESPN leagues, and he was one of my sleeper picks going into the league. That's Russell Gage. And look, it was just a matter of injury. He missed the last 4 weeks because of an ankle injury, and he came back with a vengeance this past weekend. He had just under 70 yards on 4 catches and a touchdown. His one touchdown was, yes, on a blown coverage by Xavier Howard. Holy shit, dude. You got to start earning that contract because he's been playing like crap this season. But anyway, is Russell Gage, especially if you look, Calvin Ridley's starting to find his groove in this offense. Kyle Pitts, hey, Atlanta, shocker. They finally figured out, hey, maybe we should start playing him as a wideout and not a tight end. And now all of a sudden Kyle Pitts is like finally starting to live up to that potential. So both Ridley and Pitts are starting to break out, which means there's no reason to believe that Gage cannot be that number 2, number 3 option that we all said he was going to be going into this season. And you can't forget, Atlanta, better than what they're looking like, but they still aren't great. So what that means is they're going to be passing a lot. So Gage may not begin that target number that I really love, but I still think he can get that touchdown opportunity that makes him worth that gamble if you really need to start a receiver at wide receiver number 2, wide receiver number 3, or the flex position. So Russell Gage, I really, really like him moving forward.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those like lottery ticket players that's like if he gets involved, he's absolutely going to do damage for you. But yeah, if he gets 2 targets, it's like, okay, yeah, you wasted a waiver wire pickup on this guy. But I do like the reasoning there. I very much could see this Atlanta offense passing a little bit more. Mike Davis, holy God. I mean, this guy is doing absolutely nothing in this offense.
That wasn't just you, buddy. We both agree that like, hey, man, this guy could break out. But on the bright side, or on the other side, who the hell could see someone wearing number 84 being a starting running back? Like, come on.
So 84 obviously being Cordero Patterson. Like, I mean, they're being a little bit more.
I should say bastard. He helped me beat you in DraftKings this week,
exactly. So, I mean, he's being a little bit more involved as far as being a runner as well as a passer. Like, I think they're shifting to being more of a passing offense first because obviously that Mike Davis so far has not been working out for them. We'll see what exactly happens there. So maybe with more passing, like I said, there's going to be more targets to go around. Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, Cordero Patterson, Kyle Pitts. There's going to be more pass heavy as opposed to rush heavy as previous time. So yeah, not a bad addition, but yeah, it is very a risky play. He could go off. He could absolutely do nothing as well. I'm going to talk about a guy that we actually brought up before a couple episodes ago, and that's Kenneth Gainwell of the Philadelphia Eagles, rostered in only 26.4 of ESPN leagues and 21% of Yahoo leagues. I think that number is definitely going to shoot up because Miles Sanders rolled his ankle in that game last weekend against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's not a serious injury, but he is going to miss possibly a week or two with that ankle injury, trying to nurse that up. And that's where Kenneth Gainwell can sort of step up and being the next man up in this offense. And even with Miles Sanders in that offense, Kenny Gainwell was actually 3rd on the team in touches. And I think he's just going to be more involved now because he's not just a pass catcher, he's a runner as well now because he's going to get all those rushing carries that Miles Sanders was previously getting. And I think he may be
to be fair, it wasn't that many rushing carries. Let me tell you, as a Miles Sanders guy who has him on my roster.
That is fair.
Out there.
That is fair. That is fair. So they may use him more in passing situations as opposed to rushing situations. Boston Scott may get a few more carries as well. So, I mean, this offense is a little bit, we talked about this before. The fact that they're not rushing the ball more is very surprising. It's pretty much all Jalen Hurts rushing attempts. But hopefully, Gainwell can get some of those, rushing attempts that Miles Sanders was getting, even though there are few of them, plus the ones that he was getting before, plus the pass catching. He could be very involved in this offense. He's tied second on the team in targets behind only fellow Eagles rookie Devonta Smith. So, I mean, Eagles get a really good matchup against the Detroit Lions this week. Really good matchup, like I said. I think he could really bust out, really get more involved with this offense. Really, even once Miles Sanders comes back, maybe they'll just go to Kenny Gainwell a little bit more. You can just see a little bit more of him succeeding in this offense compared to Miles Sanders, surprisingly. Seriously, this is a very good week for Kenneth to gain well on the ground.
So that's the final episode of Decide, guys. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. My God, man. Not even I would try that joke.
That was too good, though. I couldn't pass it up.
Holy
I couldn't pass it
up. Wow. But,
you've said way worse.
Not on purpose.
I think on purpose a couple times, too.
Guilty. But, no, I agree because here was the frustrating thing about having Miles Sanders on my roster is, Gainwell was a red zone guy. And for some reason, here's the whole reason that Sanders isn't getting as many rushes is because they are smartly running an RPO offense with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the most selfish RPO quarterback I've ever seen in my entire life. That dude never hands the ball off. It is the most insane thing I've ever seen. Every time he's like, I got it. It's like, dude, you are not Michael Vick. Just give the ball to your running back every now and then. And he never gives it to Sanders. But every now and then he'll give it to Gainwell. So I don't know if their styles are just, he likes Gainwell's style a little bit more or what's going on there. But either way, I could see this being a very, very good opportunity for Gainwell. So if he's in your league, which he's not in either one of mine, well worth the pickup. Because I think that could be the guy that sneaks in there and the guy you're playing plays him and he gets 20 points. And you're like, what the hell? And that's why. So I think Gainwell is actually probably my favorite pick of either one of us this entire episode.
Yeah, I think he should be a highly sought-out commodity on the waiver wire week this week. If you have the ability to get him, I think he'd be a solid addition. Tad, you got any more guys that you want to talk about? Like I said, it's a little bit thinner this week, but maybe we can squeak out a few more here.
We are really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but I'll go for it. Moe Ally Cox, just because, look, this guy has always kind of been a sneaky good player for Indianapolis, but I think he's really found his niche with Indy the past couple of weeks, and that is just, hey, man, I'm in the red zone. Carson Wentz loves me. So, yes, he is even more than Robert Tonyan, he is the very definition of touchdown or bust. So, if he doesn't score, you're screwed. But if he does score, you're good for 6 or 7 points at least. Here's the good news is you do have a good chance of him scoring, better than Robert Tonyan, because the Colts, while their weapons aren't terrible, they're not nearly the same as the Packers or the Cardinals, whose tight ends are also touchdown dependent. And Moe Ally Cox is clearly a favorite red zone target of Carson Wentz. He has 4 scores over the last 4 weeks. So I think that if you're looking for a tight end just to plug in there during a bye week, he can do pretty well. I know they're playing the Bears, I believe. No, not the Bears.
No, Niners are playing the Bears. I don't know who the Colts are playing.
Let's see. I'll look it up real quick. But whoever they're playing the Titans. So the Titans are the 8th ranked team against the tight ends. But again, that's tight ends given the expansion of the field. Once the Colts get in the red zone, and I will remind you, the Colts almost beat the Titans in week 2. That was a 9-point loss, or it was barely a 2-possession loss right there. So there's a lot of potential there for the Colts to be in the red zone a fair amount. I know they just shut down the Chiefs. I'm kind of as an outlier. That was a weird game. By the way, talk about taking an arrow to the knee. Mahomes took a knee to the face. Jesus. But regardless, I think that Moe Ally Cox is, from here on out, too, even if it's week 13, 14, whatever, when your tight ends goes down and you're really hurting for a plug-in, I think Moe Ally Cox is a solid guy because touchdown or bust, you could do a lot worse right now.
Yeah. Very touchdown dependent, so if he doesn't score, he's going to do jack shit for your fantasy roster. But yeah, if he does find the end zone, then you will get that roughly 8 to 9, possibly 10 points, depending on the targets and the catches and things along those lines.
I will say this. So this is in the league with my friends. Other than I was talking with Meyer, one of my friends dropped Rob Gronkowski, and if you have Gronk, I know it's frustrating. Don't drop him. That was dumb. Don't do that. So here, other than Gronk, here are the top available tight ends. Robert Tonyan. Good. We'll get into that in a bit. Ricky Seals-Jones. He's good for the next couple of weeks. We talked about that last week. Jonnu Smith. That's fine. Dan Arnold. That's fine. Tommy Sweeney. Literally never heard of him. I will give you $2 right now if you can tell me what team Tommy Sweeney's on.
I think he plays for Buffalo.
Damn it! All right. I'll Venmo you the $2.
All right.
CJ Uzomah. Honestly, not the worst pick. Cole Kmet. Pat Freiermuth. Evan Ingram. Gerald Everett. Jordan Akins, David Njoku. Bottom line is, a lot of these guys are just as good as Moe Ally Cox and not as a sure thing to score a touchdown. So, if you're starting Moe Ally Cox, at least you have a solid shot to get a touchdown in there.
Possibly. The last guy that I want to bring up is another guy that we brought up before, but, he's still available in a lot of leagues, 57.3% of ESPN leagues and 56% of Yahoo leagues, and that's Cole Beasley, especially with the matchup that they have coming up this week against the Miami Dolphins. I think this passing offense is going to be able to do a lot against this Miami Dolphins defense. we talked about this before, Tad. It's just very surprising and shocking how bad this Dolphins team is this year. On the flip side, Buffalo team is looking really, really good. So yeah, Beasley second on the team in targets. I know Emmanuel Sanders is getting slowly more involved in that offense, but you have to think about this. Beasley is leading the team in yards after the catch. So definitely he's taking these shorter passes and he's gaining a lot of yards after it. So, I mean, he's definitely a go-to guy to convert third downs. He finally scored before the bye week in week 6. So, I mean, maybe he'll see a little bit more action in the touchdown. Like I said, they're playing the Dolphins. It's a very weak opponent there. So, second highest targeted receiver on third downs as well. Like, I mean, yeah, Beasley's a solid option, especially, when you need a receiver in week 8 here. I think you could do worse than Cole Beasley, but yeah, really good addition here.
I will put a qualifier on this that if you're PPR, definitely keep your eye on Beasley. If you're not, I don't think he's worth it. Because you're very stereotypical slot receiver. He'll drag in like 11 receptions for 80 yards. I'm not even kidding. Hold on, let me look it up real quick because that was literally his stat line a couple weeks ago. Was 11 catches for like 70 yards and nothing, but he racked up a good amount of points. Let's see, 11 catches for 98 yards, no touchdowns. He had 15 points that game, but that's only because I'm in a PPR league. So if you're PPR, Cole Beasley has a lot of value.
Exactly. So, Tad, those are some of the guys that we sort of brought up here, but I do want to bring up, we usually cap off the episode here by talking about kickers and defense. I want to lump in tight ends as well because, with the teams that are on bye specifically, you got your Mark Andrews with the Ravens, you got the Ravens defense, Justin Tucker. If you look at the Raiders side, Darren Waller, Daniel Carlson's actually been a pretty solid kicker as well. So it's like I wanted to bring up a couple options if you need to find a replacement for your Ravens or Raiders players that are on a bye week this week. So speaking of tight ends, Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard are looking to miss the game on Thursday. So Robert Tonyan could be in for a heavy amount of targets because he's a very dependable option for Aaron Rodgers. So not just in the red zone, but you may see him get some targets during, moving the offense down the field as well. I honestly think it's going to be more of a run-heavy game, but still, I think Robert Tonyan should see a good amount of targets because who else is he going to be throwing it to? So, I mean, I like Robert Tonyan this week.
If you want the obvious name and want me to hear my attempt at pronunciation, tune into our next video because that's going to be a disaster.
Another tight end that I actually like is Jared Cook of the Los Angeles Chargers. He's slowly been getting more involved in this offense. Justin Herbert's been looking his way, not just in the red zone, very similar to Robert Tonyan. So off the bye week, there may be some, additional plays that they'll be giving to Jared Cook to obviously give him some more opportunities in this offense. So, if you need an option, I really like Jared Cook as well. Tad, you got any options here at tight end? I know you already brought Moe Ally Cox, but what do you think about these two here?
Some other tight ends I'm looking at. This one's a little bit more long-term, so I don't know if you need to pick him up this weekend, but definitely keep an eye out for him. It's Cole Kmet. He's one of those guys that Justin Fields, Amir and I have said it before. You look at young quarterbacks, you go for their tight ends. Those are the cliche security blanket for a reason. So Cole Kmet has put up back-to-back 7-point performances. And, like I said with Moe Ally Cox, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here, people. I got to go for it. Evan Ingram, maybe? I know. But he's athletic. Didn't do too badly last weekend, and Chiefs are ranked 28th against tight ends, and it's not like they have many other weapons to go against. So, I don't know. If you're really hurting, go for Evan Ingram, I guess. If you're hurting for a tight end at this point, you're pretty fucked. So, sorry, guys. I know. Oh, thanks, fantasy expert, but what do you want me to tell you, man? I'm choosing between Hunter Henry and Jared Cook every week. All right, I'm in the same boat as you.
All right, so those are the tight end options or lack of options, I guess, on Tad's side there that we're sort of bring up here. Really quickly, want to get into the kickers and defense. For defense, the Bengals defense, they're only rostered in about
one defense I was going to talk about. I'm like, of course, I'm going to pick that.
They're only rostered at 23% of ESPN leagues and 18% of Yahoo leagues.
They are facing an elite quarterback this weekend, my friend.
So in case you don't know, they're playing the New York Jets, but Zach Wilson is hurt. He's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. So what did the Jets do? They brought in former Jet Joe Flacco for the Philadelphia Eagles. So he will be the starter and just honestly, with Joe Flacco starting, I don't like the Jets offense to do much against the Bengals defense. Even if Zach Wilson was playing, I don't like the Jets offense to do much against the Bengals defense. Very underrated defensive unit this year. Like, they've been getting it very much done. Like, I mean, it gets a little bit overshadowed by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase just absolutely lighting it up on the offensive side. But Bengals defense has been playing very, very well, so they're a very worthy addition for this week. And then as far as kickers
I'm not even a Jets fan. You're telling me there's no better backup quarterback, that you could trade for than a 60-year-old Joe Flacco? That's why it's just, my good Lord. I'm sorry. Keep going before my head explodes.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I am so sorry, Jets fans. I'm sorry. Like, it's Jesus.
And then lastly, I want to get into kickers here. If you need a kicker, because once again, I'm just not sure what's going on with this 49ers offense. It's very just perplexing to me to watch that game on Sunday night. It's like they had opportunities to score and they just couldn't do it. So Joey Sly, who in the rain was able to kick a 50-yard field goal, I think it was 50 plus, was able to score 8 points in that game against the Colts. So, I mean, against the Bears, I just really don't know which way it's going to go, whether it's going to be low scoring, where the Niners will be able to win it. I mean, oh, dear Lord, there's so many question marks around this team right now. And I think if you need a kicking option, Joey Sly could be a very worthy addition. So, Tad, you got any defenses or kickers you want to talk about right here real quick?
Not really. Like I said, the only one I had was the Bengals. Really, that's kind of a shallow field. But, hey, man, I'm glad Joey Sly kicked you guys a victory.
Yeah, we're not ending it there. So obviously those are our waiver wire additions. Not as many options, like I said. It's getting a little bit tougher, but yeah, make sure you're vigilant. Checking out the waiver wire to maybe people that make a questionable move, like dropping Rob Gronkowski, like in Tad's league. So make sure you're always aware about what's going on out there. But yeah, if you need any advice, we're here to help you out. Follow us at all the various handles right at the bottom of the ticker there. My handle, I'm the side 23. You got Tad's, Tad the side 94. The show handle, Decide, guys, excuse me. We're here to help you out with your waiver wire additions, trade options, lineup adjustments, anything and everything. We're here to support you guys. And yeah, we can't thank you enough for tuning into the episode as well as the podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for listening, everybody.